Hello and welcome to week 15 in the psychology of personality. And this week we're going to be taking on chapters 18, social learning theory, and chapters 19, cognitive perspectives, and a little bit of social learning theory in there too. These are very big areas of research, major areas of research in psychology, biopsych, social learning theory, and of course, cognition. In chapter 18, we're going to take a look in our discussion about reciprocity or reciprocal interactions with individual. And what I want you to share is instances in which your behavior has affected somebody else, either negative or positive. So maybe a little bit of eat and crow here on, I did something and it affected other people in a negative way, but also maybe things that you've done, pro-social things that you've done that you've actually been able to witness the positive impact that has had on other people. And of course, we can think about our immediate surroundings. That's easy, low-hanging fruit here to pick from. And maybe consider ways in which you've done that indirectly. Maybe you've, or not indirectly, but you've done that with individuals that socially are a little bit more further from you. They're not immediate relatives of yours. So we'll have a discussion about that. In the quiz, what we're looking at is a couple key areas here. The concept of self-efficacy, different than self-esteem, which is the value that we have of ourselves. Self-efficacy is our perceived skill set. Let's say, what are we good at and what are we not good at? So we have high self-efficacy for things that we feel we're good at and low self-efficacy for things that we're not as good at. And looking at that, then I look at the concept in the chapter. I talk about locus of control. And to me, this is a topic I'm returning to in understanding some of the circumstances we're seeing in our social world right now. But locus of control is the notion as to which is my destiny being driven by my circumstances, or am I the pilot? That the degree to which I'm the pilot, that my choices result in my life, and my connection to that notion is the degree to which I have internal locus of control. The degree to which external circumstances seem to dictate my life and my perception of that, external locus of control. This dynamic is a very, very important dynamic that is often not looked at. It's an independent factor. It's not looked at when we talk about individuals of any type that are suicidal. And in fact, there's a really interesting dynamic in those kinds of things, that people who have a tendency to go into substances or suicidality or any one of those things. This is a very, very interesting dynamic, this independent factor of this characteristic that we have. Not that it's unchangeable, but we can look at ourselves and say, am I more internal or more external? And generally speaking, in Western society, the desire is to have much more internal social control. So, we're going to be examining those as part of our exploration in Chapter 18. Chapter 19, we start to look at cognitive perspectives. And this is our thinking processes, our belief system, the introduction to Albert Ellis's irrational belief system, which when I was learning about psychology, I thought that was some of the coolest stuff. And it explained so many things. Like, there was a favorite one I had in terms of Ellis's perspective, and that was awfulizing or catastrophizing. And awfulizing was actually the belief system that we would say, well, if that happens, it's just going to be awful. If it rains tomorrow, it's going to be awful. And it's like, just looking at weather. I live in Maine. My whole family is obsessed with watching the weather, trying to figure out what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. And it's one of my things, I've always been bewildered by that. I mean, certainly I want to know if there's a hurricane coming or a huge snowstorm, but what can we do about it? Nothing. I don't care. I'll look outside. I'll see it's raining. I'll dress appropriately. And so that kind of like real focus on, well, how things out of your control will affect you, and then the assumption that it's going to be awful, or I can't live with that, or these kinds of statements that we had. I just dug that. I thought that was one of the coolest things I'd come across. So RET, which rational emotive therapy, is the mode of therapy that arose to combat irrational beliefs. So what I want you to do in the discussion is share if you happen to have any irrational beliefs. Irrational beliefs like, I hate to, if anybody still has this, that if you get a college degree, you're guaranteed to get a great job. That was a belief that was put into my generation, and certainly statistics bear out in big numbers that if you get a college degree, the chances that you're going to make more money are much higher than if you don't. But it is not a cause-effect necessarily relation. It's not a one-to-one thing. There's no guarantee there. And so, in a way, that's sort of irrational, because there's other factors that come into play when it comes to getting a successful job. The assignment, of which is confounding some people, only because I put an app in there. The Simple Mind app is an app I came across that is, it's essentially idea mapping, but it's a great tool to create a chart that shows all of your social statuses and social roles. Now, social statuses are your job descriptions. Social statuses are your job titles. Social roles are your job descriptions. So, I'm a professor, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, I'm a father, I'm an uncle, I'm a musician, I'm a member of an organization, I'm a Christian, I can name all, those are all my job titles. And underneath every one of those job titles is a job description. What does it mean to be a professor? What does it mean to be a husband? What does it mean to be an uncle? Just go through those different things. And then sometimes what we end up with are what are called role strain and then role conflict. And role strain described, let me see, make sure I'm on the right path here for this. Role strain hold on, I'm reading the assignment. Okay, I don't really go into that. I guess this is an assignment like this appears in many of my classes, so I'll just give you this little extra. You might consider that sometimes you have roles, these are job descriptions, that make it difficult for you. You have two things going on at the same time, you're spinning a lot of plates. Like I need to tell you that you're a student, you're a wife, you're a mom, and sometimes it's hard to keep those things going all the time. That's role strain. Then there's role conflict. Now, role conflict kicks in when it's one or the other. Either you're going to study for that test or you're going to go to your niece's dance recital. The two of them can't happen. That's a role conflict. So you see those things happening. Now, for this particular, the first part of this assignment, you have the chart that's showing all these relationships and job descriptions you have within you have like a job titles and then job descriptions, and then you can draw lines connecting them where there's role conflict and role strain. And then your first reflection is this structure, and how does this structure talk about your personality? When somebody asks us about us, we actually start listing off statuses. Well, I'm a teacher, and I'm married, and then I have 2 kids, and then 2 stepkids, a bunch of nieces, and I play in a band. So all of these things, we start to rattle off all the different statuses that we have. And then I want you to connect those to analyzing your own personality. What does that say about you? What similarities? You want contrasts. Actually, I find my teaching and my performing to be contrast in terms of the parts of my brain that are being mostly activated during those times, but they're very similar in that terms as a performance quality to them. Okay, this right here, doing these videos. I enjoy doing these videos, but it's different than performing it in a classroom or performing on stage because there's no immediate audience. There's no feedback from the audience. It's not like I say something and then the people in the class are nodding or applauding or something like that. Or maybe you are applauding. Maybe when I'm doing this you break out into spontaneous applause. I have no idea. Please send me a message if that actually does happen. That would be very reinforcing for me. So nonetheless, I'm having you take a look at the structure of social statuses and roles in relation to the structure of your personality and a reflection on what does this tell you about yourself and the different aspects of your life. So I hope I got that right in terms of my assignment. So there we go. So we have, again, in summary, we have chapters 18 and chapters 19, and we only have one more chapter to do next week. But in addition to those 2 chapters, so we have 2 discussions, a quiz, and an assignment, your autoethnography is also due this week. So starting this week, I'm going to be going in there. I want to get ahead of those. I know I have another assignment that I need to go back to and grade. This is our last couple weeks here to kind of get things all buttoned up. So I'm going to be going in and grading those hopefully as they come in. And so you'll be getting that feedback. But they are due at the end of this week. So I look forward to those, kind of a rich exploration of your personality across all these different theories. So that's really great. So thank you for bearing with me here. A little less organized than I usually am. And so be well. Have a great week. I think it's going to rain all week. So it's a great time to be inside doing all your homework. No temptations to go outside at all. Although, put the boots on, raincoat, go walking in the rain. I personally really like doing that. I'm probably going to be doing that this afternoon. I'll probably do it right after I'm done this video. So be well, have a great week, and I will see you folks next week.